Before I started mark making, I gave up on every sketchbook I ever started because I put too much pressure on them to be perfect, and I felt like I never had enough time or focus to work on them. What I really wanted was a fun and easy sketchbook practice, something that didn't require a lot of supplies and was easy to do even if I didn't have a lot of time. That's why I love mark making with pen and ink. I've been mark making in sketchbooks and journals for a few years now alongside my watercolor practice. Whenever I need a creative outlet or a break, this is my favorite thing to do. Today, I want to show you how you can learn mark making and start a sketchbook practice to tap into your creativity more often. Anyone can do mark making even if you can't draw. Mark making is the perfect way to let go of perfectionism and just play in your sketchbook. In this video, I'll go over the super short list of supplies you need to get started, how I go from one shape to a page full of patterns, and I'll share some additional resources I made to help you start your mark making practice. I tried mark making for a week and I couldn't believe what happened next. I kept going. After a few weeks and a dozen pages full of marks, I couldn't stop. What started as a one-week challenge to myself turned into a daily habit that I stuck with for months. I called it my morning marks, and I couldn't wait every morning to sit down with my coffee, my sketchbook, and my pens. I think I was able to stick with it because the challenge I gave myself was so simple. One shape, one page, 15 minutes a day. The idea was to fill one page with as many variations of the same shape as I could think of. I worked on it for 15 minutes a day. If the shape was simple, I could finish an entire page. If the shape was more complex, it might take me a few days to finish. But I never put pressure on myself to finish a page in one sitting. I just put in the 15 minutes. If I missed a day, I picked it up again the next day. But I rarely missed a day because I enjoyed it so much. Sometimes on weekend mornings, I would make marks for an hour or more. If the ideas were flowing, I kept going. It was pretty easy to come up with shapes at first, circle, square, triangle, but after a few days, I started running out of basic shape ideas. So I started keeping a list of shapes to use as prompts. Whenever I saw an interesting shape, I jotted it down in the back of my sketchbook. When I started a new page, I picked the shape that appealed most to me that day. If you want to start mark making, I made a prompt list for you. It has 30 shapes that you can get started with. Look for the link below the video. In a moment, I'll show you how I take one shape and turn it into a page full of patterns. If you're looking for a new creative hobby you can start today without an art supply haul, you're gonna love mark making. All you need to get started is a sketchbook or blank paper and some pens. You can make marks in any medium. I like pen and ink. Pens are just so easy and convenient. I usually work in black to eliminate color choices and keep the focus on the marks. I have used a whole variety of pens for mark making, and you don't need all of these, but I wanted to show you some options because maybe you already have some of these on hand. First here is the Posca markers. These are bullet tip acrylic markers, and they come in several different sizes, which is great. Even a finer tip version. Now you do have to kind of like prime these markers to get the acrylic paint flowing, and I've noticed sometimes they can cause like splattering. So I don't use these as often for my mark making anymore. This one is a Tombow dual brush pen. So one end has a bullet tip and the other end has a brush tip. I like the two different tips, but I don't like the ink quality of these. It's not a very solid black. This one is a Pentel Sign pen. So this has a flexible tip and it responds to pressure. So if I push down, I can get a thicker line. This one is similar. This is the Tombow Fudenosaki pen, which also has a flexible tip. This one I think works a little bit better. And the black color is a little bit darker on that one too. This one is a Zig Writer. This is new to me. It does have two different tips, a 1.2 millimeter and a 0.5 millimeter. I wanted to try this out because they come in different colors. So this is a blue one. And they are supposed to be water resistant or waterproof. So I wanted to try these out with watercolor. You can also use Micron fine liners. They also have a brush tip available. This one is a really small nib that doesn't actually work anymore, but I just wanted to show you that as a popular option. You can find lots of different nibs with the Micron pens. And if I want to do white mark making, I use the Uniball Signo white gel pen or a Posca marker. This is the 0.7 millimeter tip. These are all the pens that I used to get started. I just used what I had on hand. Then I upgraded to these Faber-Castell Artist Pitt pens. I love these. This is what is in my pencil case. These are waterproof black India ink. The set comes with a whole variety of different tips, from fine liners to chisel to brush tips. Great for exploring mark making. I am still using this same set that I bought a couple of years ago, and none of them are running out yet. And I actually just got a second set that has a few different tips that weren't included in the first set. I love having so many mark making options with these sets. And I really like using pens from the same brand that have all the same ink so that my marks look more consistent. If you have some black pens with different nib types, I would start with those and see which ones you like the best. Now, if you're starting from scratch, I would get a set like this with a variety of different nib types to explore. Because we're using pens, the paper doesn't have to be anything special. And when I say sketchbook, I use that term very loosely. I started with these booklets that I found in my kids' old art supplies. The paper is pretty thin, so I only did mark making on one side of the paper, but I love the size of these. They're 8 by 8 inches and they only have 8 pages. So they feel really doable. And I found it easy to get started in these because I didn't feel too precious about them. I filled up 4 of these in 2 months, and then I took the covers off and I stitched them together to create one book. I look at this for inspiration all the time. You can also use blank copy paper. I like to fold it in half, and it's a great size to mark on. I recently started using these inexpensive little sketchbooks from Daiso. They have slightly textured paper, which I like, and the size is great too. At just over 4 by 6 inches, I feel like this is the perfect size if you do want to finish a page in one sitting. I have also started combining mark making with watercolor. I'm doing that in a B paper watercolor sketchbook. This one is the 8 by 8 inch size, and I'm putting watercolor down first and then doing mark making on top. I have also started experimenting with marker paper. My kids had a pad of it that they never used. It's very smooth and enjoyable to draw on. I really like filling in the shapes on this paper. The ink does stay wet longer, so you have to be careful not to smudge the ink while you're working on the design. The paper is also slightly translucent, so you can use it for tracing patterns too, which is another fun, relaxing way to do mark making. There are a few other tools I find helpful for mark making. A pencil for drawing guidelines because you don't have to start directly in ink. An eraser for removing the pencil lines later. A ruler for drawing straight lines or marking out a grid. I like this small clear sewing ruler that I can fit right inside my pencil case. It even has holes every 1/4 of an inch, which is handy for quickly making a dot grid. I also recommend a compass or an angle and circle maker to draw circular guides. To be honest, the blank page was pretty intimidating when I started, but I figured out some easy ways to fill the page with interesting patterns. I start every page with a simple border using my chosen shape. It feels comfortable to start small on the edge of the page and work inward. I start out slow and I get used to repeating the shape. Then I start experimenting with different border patterns. I also love to make pencil guides for placing the shapes. 2 simple ones to start with are a dot grid or concentric circles. After I make my marks, I erase the pencil lines. When I'm exploring a new shape, I like to fill the page with patterns and let them run into each other. After my first dozen pages, I started to notice some trends in my mark making, things that I kept coming back to whenever I felt stuck. So I developed these repeatable exercises that I could do with any shape to create interesting patterns. Now I have this go-to list of mark making exercises I can run through to explore any shape. I thought my exercises might help you start your mark making practice. So I created the Mark Making Starter Kit. Inside, there's 16 exercises and hundreds of hand-drawn examples from my mark making sketchbooks. It's designed to help you start your mark making sketchbook, create stunning hand-drawn patterns, and practice your mark making day after day, shape after shape. You'll be filling up pages full of marks in no time. The Mark Making Starter Kit also has templates and practice sheets if you want to have the ideas right there on the page waiting for you. You can print them out and do your mark making on top, or trace them onto your favorite paper. You can get the Mark Making Starter Kit at the link below the video. I can't wait for you to start your mark making practice. Mark making has become part of my regular art practice. I no longer feel like it's hard to fill a sketchbook. Now I have a bunch of sketchbooks on the go. I like to fill pages big and small with mark making patterns. The best part is when I'm working on an art or a craft project that needs a little something extra, I have a catalog of marks that I can refer to for inspiration. Now that I know the marks that I love, I use them all the time for collage, watercolor, art journaling, even to make my own stencils. If you want to play with shapes and create fun, hand-drawn patterns, I hope you'll check out the Mark Making Starter Kit. This might just be the beginning of your favorite new creative hobby. I've been making marks for a few years now, and every time I discover something new, a new way to arrange the shapes, a new way to use a tool, a new mark that I love. If you stick with the process and practice, you'll continue to make exciting discoveries too.